Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses podcast. And today it's going to be a little bit different. Straight conversational conversations with you. Have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask me any cyber GRC related questions. I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about what I do. So, I'm a cybersecurity guy. I've been doing this for about 20 years, 20 plus years actually. Started off in the military, the Air Force, as a physical security guy doing security forces. And then I cross trained into computers. And since I've been doing computers ever since. And it's been very rewarding. It has some ups and downs. I've changed my career within cybersecurity a few times. And one of the most stable parts of cybersecurity that I've done has been the GRC part of it. And probably because maybe just because I'm good at it, or I know it really well, but I think also because it's just a more stable field. And so if you have questions about GRC in particular with IT, then this is the right place. You've come to the right place because I really do this. I'm really in this field right now. This is what I do. My last 4 jobs have been governance, risk, and compliance. And what that is kind of the documentation portion of cybersecurity. It's not all documentation. It's a lot of meetings. There's some hands-on sometimes, but has to if it's dealing with hands-on, it's going to be usually scanners. You might have some uh, doing something with SIEM devices. You might have some things like if you happen to be part of the cybersecurity incident response team, then you might have more access to more tools. It's kind of a mixed bag with governance, risk, and compliance, but there's kind of 3 main components to governance, risk, and compliance. And those 3 main components are somebody just called me. It's crazy. I need to turn this phone off. Phone off for a bit. Okay, I apologize. This is really live, guys. This is really live. This is really real. This is how you know it's real. Um. Anyway, 3 main components of governance, risk, and compliance, and that's management, risk, and compliance. Governance is the management portion of it. It's the C-level execs, but also it could be project managers and things like that. And then you can say, get into the risk. The risk management portion is risk consulting. It can be scanning, vulnerability management is part of it. It's gauging how much exposure the organization has to their weaknesses, to their faults, and measuring those. And then you've got C, which is compliance, and that's the documentation side, making sure the organization is adhering to or doing all the things that they have to do in their industry. Very, very important. And it's the reason why a lot of organizations will get hacked on a massive level is because they're not doing basic things with GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. It's normally those things. It's not usually some uber crazy hacker from another country who's sponsored by the government or something like that doing clandestine operations. It's not normally stuff like that. It's used, and if even if it is, they usually use the weakest link, which is the people, and they'll hack people. They'll do phishing, basic phishing attacks. They'll do smishing attacks where you're doing it on SMS. They're tricking people to get into the system. It's the weakest link. So smart hackers, they use the easiest thing possible. That's what I've noticed about super smart people is they'll take a complex topic and do the most simple thing with it. They'll do the most simple thing with it. So that's mostly what I do is governance, risk, and compliance, and I've done it in the government space, gov tech. I've done it in the healthcare sector a little bit. I've done it in the manufacturing sector a little bit, and then I've had exposure to multiple different industries. So among all of these, what they all have in common is they have best security practices, and they have governance, risk, and compliance. They all kind of do the same thing. There are different naming conventions. They use a little bit different methodology and stuff, but it's for the most part, if you know one, you can transition pretty smoothly into any other industry. And so I'm haven't noticed this. I'm trying to impart on you guys that direction that you can take. And you don't have to do this. There's other things you can do. You can be a network security guy. You can be a cloud person, cloud architect. There's so many different aspects of this. All right. I'm getting questions coming in. I'm getting people joining me. So I'm going to stop introducing myself and I'm going to start with first question. So Nee Abby says, what do you think about AI taking our jobs in the next 5 to 10 years? I don't think it's AI by itself that's going to take jobs. I think it's like some industry leaders have been saying, it's going to be people who know AI that's going to take your jobs. It's going to be people who are not afraid to understand, to dive into the tools and techniques that you use to monopolize, to fully utilize all the features of AI. It's already being introduced into the tools that we already use. It's introduced into browsers. Bing has one. They're introducing it into, I don't know, Firefox has a bunch of plugins and stuff that you can use. Chrome, Opera, all of the browsers are starting to integrate AI. Search engines are starting to integrate AI right into the search results. Operating systems are starting to integrate it. All of the tools we use, including our phone, everything is starting to use AI. So I think that it's going to be the people who are going to take your job is not AI by itself. Although I think there's some jobs that will be minimized and greatly reduced and possibly eliminated specifically by AI, like completely eliminated by AI. Off the top of my head, probably call centers are going to get nuked by AI, because once they master that, I don't know that you'll still have call centers, but it'll be like a secondary tier call center. So I think that this is just off the top of my head. I think that what'll happen is the call center AI will get so good that big companies will reduce their staff greatly for the first tier. When you call your bank, when you call Amazon or whoever you call for a technical solution, it'll be an AI you're talking to. You won't even know it's an AI. And that right there eliminates a ton of jobs. And then, it's helpful, but it also is going to eliminate some jobs. And then they'll have, like, if the AI can't help you, it'll forward you to a person. That's what I think. That's like an example of where a job would like eliminate or cause a collapse of a lot of jobs, call centers. And that's just one. I think it's going to be many different industries. Overall, I think the biggest impact over the next 5 years, within the next 5 years, I don't even think it'll take 10 years, will be, mark my words, it'll be people who know AI or the tools that AI is going to be implemented in. So that's what I see happening. It's going to be people who know AI. That's kind of what's happened with cloud. I noticed in my space. I'm like, we're looking for jobs right now, and everybody's looking for cloud. Like, if you don't have cloud in there, you know, you have to explain yourself. So that's what I think will happen. Long term, like 10 years, in the next 10 years, like 10 plus years, I I think that our entire space changes. I think humanity itself changes um in the next decade because of AI. Similar to what the phone's done to us. Like, if you're a younger person and you kind of grew up with a phone, you don't really see it. But me being a Gen Xer, coming from a place where we didn't use phones a lot, I can clearly see that people are different. Human beings are completely different. If you're honest with yourself, human beings don't act the same as they did before phones and social media. The combination of the internet, keep in mind, I was born, Gen Xers and boomers are born before all of this was a thing. You had the internet, but it was only a research facilities and like giant universities and stuff. It was there, but it was just starting out. And the World Wide Web came in like the 90s. That was when I was like, you know, a young adult. So you guys, like if you're Gen Z or you're younger or even a millennial, like some of you guys, you don't even, it's not like you don't remember a time when there wasn't phones. Some of the older millennials, but I do, and I can clearly see humans are different now, completely different. Everything you do is different, and it's funny. Like even when I watch a movie, I'm watching the plot, and if they don't have phones in their hands, it's not even realistic. It's not even unless it's a period piece that's being done from the 1970s or before phones were around. It's 80s or 9, in the 90s and stuff when everybody didn't have a phone. But if it's like a drama that's happening now and people for whatever reason they're getting chased by a monster and they don't have a phone, I'm like, this is stupid. If they're in the far future and they don't have a communication device of some type, like human beings are just different is what I'm getting at. We are different. We act different. Everything about our behavior is different because of the social media and phones. And AI, I think, is going to do the same thing. Like, for one thing, I think we'll be more reliant on computers as a brain. Like we'll be way more reliant, which you could say, oh, people are dumber. I don't think people are necessarily going to be dumber, like idiocracy. I think it's going to be more like people won't know basic things that they can just Google. I think that's already happening. Like you're not going to memorize all 50 states when you can just Google it. You're not going to know. You don't really need to know cursive. Like mostly you don't even have to type these days. You don't have to, like when I was going to school, you had to learn how to type fast. And that was like a big thing. And now it's like not, it's wild. Like these are small things, but fundamentally as a species, 10 years plus, we won't be the same anymore. Like, it's scary, it's sad, but also it's exciting because it's going to come with good and bad and ugly, just like every technology. Every major change has a good, a bad, and I'm just being realistic. So that's what I see happening in the next 10 years about all that stuff. Let me see. Let's see. Let's answer some questions on TikTok here. And this right here, for you, those of you who just got in, this is just a conversation that we're having about governance, risk, and compliance. I'm a 20-year plus vet of computer compliance, GRC stuff. And if you have it in cybersecurity, if you have questions, this is a great time to ask me. I'm all ears, and I'll answer their best. If I don't know the answer, sometimes people get on here and try to check me and start asking me hacking questions. Like, dude, I'm not a hacker. I don't know the answer to that. You know what I mean? I know what I know, and I'm not going to pretend like I know something that I don't. But the crazy thing is about this audience is there are people on here who do know that stuff. So if you ask a question, somebody else can answer for you who is in that field if you have a legit question. And then Amina, real estate agent says, what's a good certification to get into GRC field? And then somebody said, I'll merge these two questions together. On YouTube, they say, Nee Abby says, what certifications do you have? Okay, I can answer this question. It's easy. I'll start off with the certifications that I have. The main ones that I use that are useful to me right now, starting from the top, is CISSP, and then a CGRC. They changed the name of it recently. So I've got that certification, CGRC. I've got Security Plus. I've got the old one. I think I let the new one expire. I've got those are the most relevant ones to what I do. I've got some industry level certs like a Qualys certification and a cyber threat intelligence one for recorded future, and I'm not using those currently. Some other ones I have is like I've done the Network Plus. I've done A plus certification. That was my first certification. I got Microsoft's MCP, and I used to have a CCNA. I've had a bunch of certification. Linux Plus, I think I have that. Yeah, I have that one. So, and I'm not trying to impress people. That's not impressive. I know some people who got a whole bunch of impressive certifications. I'm not one of them. You know what I mean? So once I got the CISSP, it was a wrap for me. I was like, I'm done. I'd only take certifications after that if I had to. If I got to a company like, you have to take this certification, and then I would take it, But so what in the that leads me into the next question somebody had is, what is a good certification for a GRC field? I would say it kind of depends on what industry you're in, because it's helpful if you're in that industry, if you happen to be in that industry. But generically, for across the board, whether you're in the healthcare industry or the gov tech or whatever you happen, wherever, aerospace, whatever, CISSP is a really good one. But that one is kind of a mid professional level cert, expert level cert, whatever, that a lot of people aren't going to be able to get immediately. Security Plus is a really good one for a GRC, I would say. If you're in middle, like you just started this, or you're trying to transition from IT to GRC or something, or just want to get in it, I'd say Security Plus is a good one to start with. Another one, CGRC, but that's mostly for the industry of GovTech right now. I think eventually they'll expand it out to where it'll include other industries and stuff. But right now, it focuses on the NIST 800 risk management framework, which, if you know that one, it's very easy to get into PCI DSS. It's very easy to transition into HIPAA. All the other stuff will make more sense because NIST is pretty robust as a framework. So CGRC, Security Plus, CISSP is good. CISA is really good. C-Risk is good. Those are the off the top of my head. Did I say CISA? CISM is good for governance. So those are the main ones I would say that are pretty decent for any industry you go into. There's some specialized ones, like there's one for ISO 27001. There's a few of those that are not very popular, but if you have it and somebody in a company or organization is looking for that, that will be helpful. There's some PCI DSS ones. There's one for CMMC if you're doing that. There's a bunch of different certifications if you happen to be in that industry, they're specifically looking for that thing, So let me see here. I got some more questions popping in. I'm not ignoring you guys. I got a flood of questions coming in. It all kind of comes in waves. Tariq Baker says, just recently passed the Pen Test Plus. Interested in the impact of this certification on GRC. So GRC and Pen Test is kind of two separate things. GRC is large enough to where it could include pen testing, and I'll explain. So governance, risk, and compliance, right? Governance piece is management, IT management. So certifications like the CISM, the CISSP, CISA, those are helpful, like governance type certifications. PMP, project management, because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing like management type tasks. And then you got the R, which is risk, right? So risk can include pen testing, penetration testing. Risk includes all types of scanning, all types of risk assessments, and then how to interpret the data that you get from your assessments, whether it's a pen test, scanning from the outside in, or a internal test where you're scanning from the inside out. So GRC can include a pen test certification. What's the impact of you getting into GRC? People looking for GRC jobs are not looking for a pen test plus. That said, it's great that you got it. It's a great start. I would say if you're trying to make an impact on getting into GRC, if that is your question, then you probably want a Security Plus. If you're trying to stay in the space where you're doing risk, like specifically risk, Security Plus is still solid for you. But then you want to start doing things like a CEH or a OSCP, like where you're doing serious hacking. OSCP is an offensive security certification based off of like Kali Linux and actual hacking. So that one right there in this industry right now is hot. It's really good. It's solid. Nobody's going to question your abilities or skills if you have that certification. CEH, they're going to question your security and your skills, but you're going to have a certification that's gonna pull you into some jobs. You can still get money. You can get paid off of CEH. Just telling you the truth. Is that right? Not necessarily, but is that ethically good? No, And the reason why people hate on CEH so much is because there's just a bunch of tools. They say, "Oh, do you know this tool? Do you know this tool? How about this tool?" They show you some techniques too, and like you got to know um, a couple of commands and stuff like that. But overall, then there's certain levels to CEH. So I personally think it's an okay certification to start if you're getting in. Pen Test Plus is a good. It's an appetizer. It's like you've been introduced to the common body of knowledge of pen testing, of penetration testing and ethical hacking. Now it's time for the main course. The main course is going to be a Security Plus, a CEH, and then after that, the dessert, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake is going to be the next level, which is an OSCP or different levels of the CEH. And that's just me looking from Tariq. That's just me looking from the outside in. I'm not a pen tester. Just keep that in mind. That's not my profession. I've taken like boot camps paid for my company by the company that sent me there, or the government will send me to a boot camp where I'm doing pen testing. I've messed around with tools. I've messed around on my lab and stuff like that. It's fun. I had a job where we did a little bit of it, but I haven't done it full time. It hasn't been my thing. You know what I mean? So, I hope that helps you out. But, again, I'm just some guy. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Let me see here. Love and Light Forever says, how do you apply to USA jobs? How do you apply to USA jobs when they said that it's a 500K cybersecurity jobs? Is it difficult? Okay. This is a great question because there seems to be a discrepancy. I see what you're saying. Like they're saying, oh, there's 700,000 jobs, there's 500,000 jobs in the US, and and we need all these places to fill. That's what you're saying, right? Like, where are all these jobs at? Why it's in the news is they're saying there's all these jobs out here. It's supposed to be the fastest growing industry, and they're saying that you should get this degree or that degree or this certification. And I can see people having jobs, but where are all these jobs at that they're talking about? And that is a valid question. What is happening in the market is that, and a friend of mine named Mike Kazarian had a podcast where he broke it down perfectly. His podcast is called Rooted. Old coworker of mine. And he brought up the situation because we really do need people. I'm telling you, like all the years I've been in this field, we definitely need people. What's happening then? Why is there this gap here? Because there's definitely a problem. What's happening is, from what I've seen, is that these jobs, they have these really high standards. They're like, we want you to have 7 years of experience. You need to have a CISSP and a degree, a master's degree. We want you to have this and that. They have these high ass standards. And I don't know why they're doing it. I'm not sure. There's different theories about why, but there's different theories about why. And there's some people are saying, oh, they want to save money, and that could be it. They're putting this out there because they know they have a need, like a contract. They get $100 million contract with NASA, this company, and they're doing really good. And their bottom line is showing that they, have 90 million on the books, and they hired all these people and stuff. So at the end of the fiscal year, they have X amount left, and that's how they show that they've made a certain amount by not hiring people. I've heard that argument, and actually there's a lot to be said about that. Might be why, I don't know. Um, I do know we have a problem in this industry where they raise the bar super high. And so people aren't even, a lot of times they're like, you need 7 years of experience and a CISSP and a degree, master's degree. I'm not qualified for that. I'm not even going to apply for that job. Right. So there's a bunch of theories of why this is happening. And it really is a problem. It's really, really a problem. I mean, I'm at a job right now and I can't tell you a lot about, I'm working for the government, but I don't want to curse, but I'm very angry about it. This company will not hire another person, and I don't know what's going on. Or I think in our case, what's happening is, in this case, the organization I'm with, is that they try to hire people, but the government is taking 8 months to get to background check people, because that shit happened to me. I got in, and it took so long for them to background check me that I got another job while they were doing a background check on me. And then even when I got, I went through the doors and I'm working for them, when the background check was done after 6 months, whatever, how long it was, in the other job, sunset, it was done. Um, I'm just like, damn, like, how are they going to get more people in if it takes this long? And that's kind of what's happening in my situation. So this different. What I'm getting at is there is a problem. So you're pointing to how do you get into jobs? How do you apply? Be aggressive. Be very aggressive. Get your resume together, because it is competitive. It is competitive. Use an ATS style resume. Use as many job aggregators as you can. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take you a long time to do. It's a lot of busy work. You got to upload your resume over and over and over again. Um, Protect your personally identifiable information on those resumes when you put them out there, because you will get callbacks from all kinds of people from all over the world. Um, Monster, Dice, LinkedIn, put it on all of them. All of them. You got to be aggressive. That's how you apply for USA jobs. Even if I know there's a lot of foreigners, like people like, oh man, whatever, for whatever reason, in their country they don't have jobs or whatever, and they're trying to apply for jobs here. I'm not, you know, God bless, but you are not my audience. You are not usually my audience, to be honest with you. I'm talking about people in the US. I mean, I guess there are some way you could use some of the techniques I'm talking about in your own country, or if you have trying to get a remote job or something, they do exist, green card holders, same thing. Like there is a way, so I could see why you'd be watching me. But if you are living in Ghana and you're trying to get a job in New York, it's going to be hard. It's going to be, if you're in India and you're trying to get a job in New York, it's going to be difficult, right? So I'm mostly talking to US people in the US, green card holders, permanent resident, like you're in the United States and you're trying to get a job here. That's who I'm talking to. But there are ways you can do it from another country. Apply for jobs, be aggressive, use an ATS style resume. If you don't know what that is, Google it. And then he says, they said it's 500,000 jobs. Yeah, and it's difficult. Yeah, that's why you got to be aggressive. So these jobs do exist. I'm telling you, first step is that you got to believe it's possible. I'm living proof of it. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm a high school dropout. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm telling you, if I can. Now, it was a hard road. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't have a work ethic like no person I've ever seen before. I'm not going to tell you I don't have patience like no other human being I've seen, but you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. But first, you got to believe it's even possible. So be aggressive. Get your ATS style resume squared away and do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. There's gonna be some long nights. It's gonna be hard. This career path has a difficult learning curve that's harder than most. But you can do. If I can do it, you can do it for sure. All right. Let me see other questions. I'm going to answer as honestly as I can. Toby says, hello, thank you for what you do. Quick question. I have an ISO position, but I don't get to do the GRC stuff work myself. If that makes sense. I have an ISO position, but I don't get to. It sounds like you're an information system security manager, because a lot of times information system security managers, they're on the governance side. So you are doing GRC. You're doing the governance side. You're not doing the hands-on scanning. Maybe you're not doing you're not looking at the vulnerability management data. You don't have as much hands-on stuff. Am I right? Is that what you're talking about? Because if that's the case, you are an you might be an ISSM or something like doing the governance piece of GRC. You are doing the governance as much as possible. Is there something you can do? I don't know if you're still here, but if there's something is there anything way you can get your hands on, like helping create documentation, or because you might be in a prime position to like really upgrade, because managers typically make more money than most positions. If you're in a management type position, there's ways you can still level up. I mean, off the top of my head, there's a couple certifications you could get that's going to help your resume, like a CISM might help you out. CISP might help you out. Lean heavily into the governance side. I mean, it's worth your time to even just look at it. But if you want to do more hands-on stuff, there's still stuff you can do. You could write policies. You could write you help write procedures. You could see if there's a way that you can be a part of incident response team. They have a whole bunch of stuff you can do with that. There's a bunch of ways you can level up, even if you're not doing like hands-on stuff and you're in an ISSO position, but you don't get to do the GRC work yourself. You're actually sounds like you are doing it, but you're not doing stuff you want to do. That's what it sounds like to me, but I could be wrong. I need to I'm trying to see if you are answering me or if you're still here, because I have some questions for you. Okay, let me keep going down the list. I got so many. I'm going to go as fast as I can. I'm only going to be on here for like an hour, guys, because I got stuff to do. Let me see here. Nee Abby says, what certifications do you have? Okay, I already answered that one. Let me go over here to TikTok real quick. See if there's any questions here. Let's see. TikTok questions. It's been hard as hell to get a help desk job. So yeah, it's hard. If it's difficult when you're trying to get your first position. Your first position is going to be difficult, especially you have no experience. You're coming from another field. It's going to be difficult. They're looking for somebody with experience. That's why. It's one of the things they don't teach you in school, is that they're looking for people with experience. That's why I wonder why they don't do like trade schools here in the US. That would be smarter, like where you're actually doing the work and you're like going straight into internships. I heard they do that in like Germany or something. But here, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here, man. To be honest with you, some of the things the US does, as awesome as it is to have jobs here, they just don't teach finances. They don't teach business. They don't do the stuff that we're the best at. They don't really teach. But that's why people come to me and buy my course and shit, because they're not teaching stuff that you actually really need to learn, a bunch of theory and stuff like that. Maybe it's because it's easier to do that. I don't know. But how can you level up to get a help desk job? What could you do? What I would do if in a position where, and I don't know your situation, I don't know how much experience you have, but regardless of your experience level, number one, you need to have the knowledge. Most importantly, you have to start off with the knowledge first. Have labs and stuff in your house. Do what you can for projects. Maybe do freelance work if you're already skilled, but you just haven't been able to get a role, a help desk role. Maybe do freelance work. I'm trying to get it to where you can put what you have done on your resume. Like, what have you done? What networks have you fixed? What networks have you put together? I'm trying to get that on your resume. So that will be the first step. Knowing what I know now, seeing from these old eyes now, looking back, hindsight's 2020. I'm trying to tell you, get experience and put that on your resume. because they want to know, they want you to hit the ground running. I know that's not fair, but that's how it is. They want you to hit the ground running. So more experience you have, the better. And that's why if you do school right, schools is a great way to start. If you do it right, if you're a working student there, if you had an internship, if you had projects, you can put that stuff on your resume, which is why students have a better advantage. Myself, when I got a degree, I had worked on firewalls when I was in my school. I could put that there. I was working as an IT person while I was in school. So I had that. I had so many things I could put on a resume before I even finished my degree. So a degree is actually, it gives you the time, it gives you people, you can meet a whole bunch of people who've done it before. Another thing you can do, Kendrick, is ISSA, the ISSA. That's the Information System Security Association. They have one in every major city. And when I did a interview with Ryan, which Ryan is on here. Hey, Ryan, how you doing, man? Ryan mentioned that, and I was like, why not? Why haven't I been talking about it? But they have one, and what it is an industry. It's a meetup that you have like about monthly or so. It depends on the city and the chapter and stuff. But they meet up every month, and I think they have a fee, like a membership fee, but it's worth your time and money to be a part of it, because they'll have vendors come in, they'll have job fairs, they'll have people looking for people to work for them. It's just a bunch of people who all do networking together, come together, and they're talking about like solutions, IT solutions, cybersecurity solutions. So that's another thing you can do. To look at another thing that I would do if I were you looking for a help desk job. My first job, let's say I didn't have a lot of experience besides doing freelance work and putting as much project stuff on my resume as possible, is look in my local area for work. Like the local area, that's like the cable companies, even like some jobs you don't think are help desk type jobs can still be a catalyst to come into this field and be a first step to get a better paying, better situation for yourself, which would be things like if you were running cable, for your local cable company, they have to know basic internet work, internet engineering, basic engineering, network engineering, to set up your firewall in your house on your modem and stuff. They have to set that stuff up for you. So they got to know about IP addresses. They got to know about a little bit about local area networks. So it might not have the title of a help desk job, but there's field technicians. Sometimes there'll be a solution that a company will have, or a local nonprofit will have, or they'll need, where all they're doing is setting up, I don't know, camera systems or something. But those cameras have a network that they have to attach to. Now you got to know how to do the IP address. You got to know maybe you have a little hardware things that you have to do. You got to hook it to a MacBook, because that's all they have is a MacBook Pro. You got to learn that. So it's not always going to be called a help desk job. It might be a customer service technical support. It might be field tech. It might be running cable. It might be the person who installs cable at your house, installs internet connections to your house. Like those kinds of things, like expand your view of what you're looking for, because you just want, right now, all you're looking for is an entry level to kick that door open so that you can take those first steps. And then after that, what you'll be surprised by is once you get into that, in that world, there'll be other jobs you can make a lateral change to make more pay and get a better situation for yourself. Hope that answers your question. All right, let me see what else we got here. No stress, guys. We're just having a conversation about IT, help desk, cybersecurity, GRC work. Just a conversation. Let me see here. Got more questions. And if you guys are interested, right now on Convocourses.net, I've got a way that you can order books without Amazon. So I've got information security, NIST. This is actually 2 books in one. It's talking about specifically about NIST 800. It's really great for entry-level people who are trying to break down what it is. NIST 800, NIST 837, and NIST 853. It's not a replacement for the NIST 853 or 37. Those are sources that you have to always look back to, but it's a way to understand it in a way that is going to help your organization out and help you to have a practical understanding of what it's all about. Then I've got a breakdown, an introduction to cybersecurity law, which is really important to compliance. It's really, really important to compliance. It's foundational. And I'm telling you about things that you should know about. I've got a breakdown of the NIST 853 controls, and that's actually a part of this book right here. I've got an oldie but goodie, cybersecurity jobs. There's a lot of stuff that I tell you about on this call, on this live, is from this book right here. This is literally how I do jobs. This is how I've been able to get jobs without AI. Like, I don't use nothing about AI in this. I was doing this before large language models. I wrote this before all that stuff. So that's why this is real. This is really from me. You know what I mean? Like, this is not AI generated. This is from 20 plus years of experience. And I'm telling you how to do it, how to get not only your resume, right, breaking down exactly how to do it, paths to my actual resume, but career paths. Like, you might not want to do GRC. There's other things you can do. And I tell you, okay, you want to be a network engineer? Here's the things you should know about that. And then working from home, which has been really rewarding for me, as you know, especially when I was a single father doing my own thing. Like, super, super helpful being a work from home person. So another one is risk management control assessor. So this is something you have to do as a GRC person, particularly in the government. We have something called self-assessments. It's one of the most important things you do on a regular basis, where you're doing continuous monitoring of all the controls. I'm telling you how to do this with NIST 800. There's 1,000 controls. If you include all of the enhancements, it's like 1,000 controls. It can be very overwhelming when you first start out. But what I'm trying to do is I break it down by families, and I say, these are the things that you need to look at, and here's how you assess these types of things. It's going to set you on a path where you start to understand, okay, I get it. I get the spirit of this control family. Now, again, it's not a replacement for the NIST 853A. It's not a replacement for that, but it's a great way to enhance your understanding of it. And another book, I've been doing this a long time, guys. These are all the books. These are part of the books that I've written. Now, here's another one, ISO 27001, where I break this down. It's not a replacement for the ISO 27001 2022. It's not a replacement. But here's the thing. The actual ISO 27001, I'm about to give away a secret here. It's about 20 pages long, and it costs $160. Actually, 130 euro. So I know because I bought it. But this book is about 100 pages. It gives you examples of what they're talking about. I'm not going to say it's better than the original ISO 27001. But I'm giving you examples, right? This is all I'm going to say about it. So, and it's not $100, right? So there's a hard copy of these. If you go to convocourses.net, you can get a hard copy of these, like what I have in my hands right now, right here. Or you can get the audiobooks. I started putting it's just hard to get audiobooks. I really love audiobooks personally. So, if you purchase it, it gets sent via an app called Book Funnel, and it's a really good. It's outside Audible, but it's a really good app that will save your spot, allow you to listen while you're jogging or in your car or whatever. So I also have ebooks in these. So you've got the print version, you got ebooks and audiobooks. All right, so that's enough of the commercial. I'm gonna go ahead and continue on. Okay, so Neat Abby says, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, but says, I have a CISM, but some companies still ask for IAT certs. Do you think that the CISA will suffice if they are going, if they keep, if they're asking for security plus? I would rather take a higher level certification. In most in most cases, if you have a CISA, a CISSP, one of those is going to be better than a security plus. A security plus is it's not an entry level certification. I would say it's not necessarily entry level. Uh, when I say that, like if you just can't walk off the street and take it, like entry level is like you can be a whole different. You can come from retail and just take the certificate. Like if you know the information, you take the certification. It's for entry level, like literally entry level. Security plus it needs you to know IT stuff. So I would say it's a little bit above entry level certification. That said, where it sits in the hierarchy of certifications is that CISA is definitely better than a security plus. I mean, you're going to be offered way more higher paying jobs with a CISA than a security plus will. So yes, like I would say a CISA would suffice over security plus, and it's going to introduce you to other jobs that it's going to give you more opportunities. I would say more opportunities that you want, especially if you already have a CISM. So yes, that's great. Congratulations, by the way. CISM is fire. Some of my bosses have had it. I don't have a CISM, but some of my bosses have had it. Like it's a management oriented type certification. So it's a great certification. Let me see here. Got more folks talking to me here. I appreciate all the comments, guys. Thank you so much. This is most of my content is fueled by you guys asking questions or interacting with me. Let me see. And Abby says, and is the AWS solution architect good for FedRAMP? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I would say at ACP, the entry level cloud certification is good for FedRAMP. I've been looking at, there's a bunch of FedRAMP jobs right now that I've been looking at that I'm almost qualified for. I'm missing one thing. Guess what it is? A cloud certification. They want me to have a cloud certification. And they're not even talking about an architect's solutions. They're talking about an ACP, like an entry level AWS certification. And that would have been good enough. But yes, it's to answer your question, it's good enough. That's good. Unless you're looking for like a high level cloud certificate job. Let me see here. Armani says he's actually right. He's operating more of the ISSM. I found that out and I felt stupid. All right. Let me see here. Let me see here. I'm just reading you guys' questions. Hey, Lily, how you doing? We've got some interesting people here. I've got Larry here, who is a project manager who's transitioning into cybersecurity, which is incredible to me. I've got Ryan, who's got, I believe, more experience than me overall in doing IT and cybersecurity stuff. Dude's a retired military guy. I've got Lily, who's a freaking correct me if I'm wrong, but a machine learning Python professional who does AI. Is that right? I've asked her. She's one of the only people I've one of the few people I should say I've asked to be on here to interview because I have a lot of questions, but she's too shy to come on here. Which is fine. I'm not trying to. I appreciate you, Lily. Thanks for your continued support. Let me see here. I'm a truck driver trying to transition. Oh, okay, Kendrick. Okay, I hear you. So trying to get help desk job. Do you have any IT people in the trucking company? Because I'm just thinking like unless you're like a contractor, if you work for a specific company, do they have an IT department where you could transition? Do they have like IT on the truck? Do they have like routers on the truck? where you could be a part of the team that fixes those internet working devices on the trucks. You see what I'm getting at? I'm trying to find a way for you to do a lateral change, or even some kind of business model where you provide those things. Um, just ideas, you know what I mean? Like, don't put yourself in a box. Think outside the box if you want to get this. If you want to get these opportunities, sometimes you got to make the opportunities. You know, so there might be a way to make a lateral change inside the company you work for, or even getting the transportation. I'm thinking maybe there's a transportation unit or company or nonprofit or something like that where you could be a valuable asset, because if you know all the challenges of being a truck driver, being on the road and being in a place that has little or no internet, maybe there's a company that has a solution that you could be a part of, that, you know, part of their team. Or maybe you could start something on your own where you have a solution where it you don't box yourself in. Think outside the box. You are in the transportation industry. Transportation industry relies heavily on internet working devices and IT. And there might be a opportunity in that space, is what I'm trying to tell you. So just look in that space. And I don't know where you live. Maybe you live in Omaha, Nebraska, and there's not many truck drivers companies there or something. I don't know. But there might even be a remote position for you to do that. Just expand your view of what a help desk person does, and and things that might be doors that might be there for you, but you don't see it because you're just looking for help desk jobs. You know what I mean? So let me see here. Somebody said, hello, bro. I'm about to enter cybersecurity field. What's your advice for me as a beginner? Um, I don't know. I'm not sure like where you're starting from, but the very first thing is to get the knowledge in your head. And the knowledge you want is information technology fundamentals. That's the very first thing you need to know. Right. And I say that I'm not trying to be, uh, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence or anything. You don't know what you don't know. And I don't know what you know or don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming that you don't know anything. So, and you're coming from a whole nother field, because that's normally who's asking me these kinds of questions. Um, if that's the case, the first thing you need to do is get information technology knowledge, because what we do as cybersecurity professionals is protect information technology. Right? Imagine trying to be a surgeon, but you don't know basic biology. You need to know basic IT to do these different categories. And cybersecurity is a category of information technology. The first thing you need to know is know the basics, and that's information. Let's say you already know the basics. Let's say you're like, bro, I already know I know how to build computers. I do them for gaming. I'm a geek. I know computers. I know that. Then the first step will be to start to know the language that we're speaking here, like the landscape. And one of the ways you could do that is do an A+ certification. A+ certification breaks down all the domains you need to know in the industry as it is in information technology. So if you are a geek and you know this stuff, the next thing to do is to learn the lingo of this. Now, let's say you're already an IT guy. You already know IT. You've been help desk for a long time. Okay, if that's the case, don't take the A+. Don't. It's a waste of your time. You already know this stuff. Don't do it. So now what you want to do is focus on what you've already done for the best security practices. And if you've been in IT for some time, that means you already know cybersecurity. You've already done cybersecurity if you're a help desk person of at least 6 months. You've already done it. You just don't know what classifies as cybersecurity. And you are my audience if that's the case, because I'm telling you, I've gotten people jobs making more than me with this book right here. I'm telling you, it works, man. I'm telling you, it works. So let me see here. More questions. More questions. Somebody said, wait. I got some other questions before I get there. Larry, my man Larry, how you doing, sir? He says, "Hey Bruce, I'm starting to hear more and more in our industry that certs don't matter as well as degrees don't matter. Do you recommend trying to get jobs first and then getting a cert to fit to fit the job?" Man, Larry, this is a really good question. So I'm hearing the same thing. I'm hearing some people saying, "Hey, don't get a degree. You know, it's a waste of time." Um, I'm hearing people say, "Don't certs are a waste." And the one thing they're not saying, I'm sure you've noticed, is nobody's throwing away experience, right? Everybody, whether you're a no cert guy or a no degree guy, nobody's saying don't get experience. So experience, that tells you how experience. It's the one thing the Republicans and Democrats can agree on. Experience matters, right? We can't agree on nothing else, but that's one thing we can all agree on. um, no, I say what I always say, which is start where you are. If you have the resources and time and energy, right, and m- mental fortitude, patience, work ethic to get a degree, I say get a degree. If you have some people don't have time, some people don't have money, some people have a kid, some people did not. We're all in different situations. So some people cannot get, and I understand that. So I'm trying to speak to everyone. And I say you got to start where you are. I would say one of the best things you can do across the board, if you have the time, money, energy to do it, is a degree, I would say. If you're starting from scratch, if you're starting from nothing. And the reason why I say that is because it gives you have the time to focus on nothing but that one thing. And these days, if you're in school, if you are a student, you can be a working student. You can actually get experience while you're in school. You can network with other people. Sometimes they have working student programs, they have internship programs, you have apprenticeship programs. I was talking to Will Reed a few weeks ago, and man, he brought up WGU, the college he went to, and he said they had a mentorship program. He was just naming all these programs they had, and I was like mind blown. I'm like, damn, that's a really good school. It's remote. I think it's accelerated courses. It's for working adults. I'm like, damn, like and then once you get out of that, once you have your degree in hand, right? You, if you took advantage of some of the stuff they did and you are a working student, you now have experience and a degree, and you're competitive against people who are out in the field. This field is pretty competitive. So if you have all of that, I would say time mostly and money, resources to do it, then I would say do that. Another place you can go is the military. If you have the what it takes to do it, if you have the fortitude to stick with it, another great place you can do is, and you don't have to do the military. I mean, you can do, there's 4 branches, and if you include the Coast Guard and Space Force, there's other branches you can do as well that are, well, I believe Space Force is part of the military branch, but you can do the Coast Guard. There's other things you can do in the government that has, like, the Peace Corps. There's all kinds of large organizations that you can get into that have IT departments that are looking for people. You just got to look for it. And you're doing an apprenticeship while you're working, doing the job of an IT professional. Once you get out, you do fulfill your obligation of that organization. You get out, now you have a degree, you have experience, all that kind of stuff, right? I say start where you are, and I stand by that. If you have the resources, do a degree. Let's say you don't have the resources or time or money or energy to do a degree. You got kids, you're 38 years old, you're not going to the military, right? So those two options are out. If that's the case, I'm going to tell you like this. What I would do, knowing what I know now, is I would get a get a certification, but learn while you're getting the certification. Do hands-on while you're getting the certification. It's going to take you anywhere from 2 to 6 months to get through it, depending on what certifications and your learning speed and all that kind of stuff, how much time you have to actually learn it. The reason why I say to do this is because it's fulfilling like 3 things at once. For one thing, is if you don't have the knowledge, it's giving you the way they break out certifications, they break it out in domains. So if you focus on it, and this is how you normally take certifications, I'm learning from the domain, even if I don't have experience in that particular part. And a lot of times with certifications, like one thing you might not know if you've never taken one before, you're not going to know everything on the certification. Certifications are for people who already have experience, and the certification is supposed to validate what experience you already have. Does that make sense? It's supposed to say, oh yeah, this person knows cloud. Oh yeah, this person knows Juniper switching or whatever. It's validated so that the employer sees the certification and says, oh, okay, this person knows it. That's what it's supposed to do. You're not supposed to use it. It's not supposed to be a learning tool. But you can use it for that. And that's what I use it for. I'll take a certification. You're not going to know everything in each one of those domains. That's the thing. As a CISSP, and somebody's been doing this. When I took the CISP, I'd been doing it for like 10 years or something, or whatever, 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it was. And I didn't know everything on the certification test. I didn't know all those domains. I rarely messed around with crypto modules. I didn't, a little bit. I did a little bit of that stuff, but I didn't know the difference between a 256 AES and a DES or whatever. I had to learn that stuff, right? Like, you don't know everything on there. Anyway, what I'm getting at is you could take any certification and use it as a learning tool. Learn everything in there, do the stuff in there as much as possible, have a lab set up. So now you're getting experience by doing a lab while you're learning the actual information. And then when you're done, take the certification. Now you have a little bit of experience, you have skills in the tools that are relevant to that particular certification, and you have a certification. And now you're competitive in the market. That's what I would do if I was in a situation where I couldn't go to school. I didn't have the time, money, or resource to do that. I couldn't go in the military or any kind of giant organization because I got kids. I'm 38 years old, 34, whatever the age cutoff is. I can't do that. That's out. That's what I would do, a certification. Now, let's get on a thing of like people saying don't do certs and don't do degrees. There's other ways. My mentors, 2 of my mentors, right, who are now they're exceptional people, so they're doing really well right now. But the first time when I got out of the military, my first mentor, who became a friend of mine, didn't have a degree, and didn't have any certifications to speak of. He was a high school graduate, and this guy was one of the most brilliant people in our whole organization. He just had a brilliant mind. He had no degree and no certification. All he had was experience. Another mentor of mine, same thing. This dude was both from the military, by the way. This dude was a Marine, ex-Marine, had no degree, no certifications, is now like he was a director for a while. Now the guy's just brilliant. But at the time, he had none of that stuff. And he was teaching a staff of like 10 cybersecurity analyst work, which is SOC analyst work. Now, I was a new SOC analyst. I had a degree. I was all degreed up. I got 2 degrees by then. I got 6 certifications. But I don't know cybersecurity analyst work. I don't know this stuff. But this guy did. So 2 of my mentors had no degree, no certification, nothing. They just had straight up skills and experience. What I'm saying all this to say it can be done. But the caveat is that both of these people had like 6 years of experience doing one thing very, very well. And they both were absolutely brilliant. Like you could just give them anything and they would learn it. They were like ChatGPT, a human ChatGPT. I know you've met people like this before. And that was these 2 people are like that. So you can do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I have seen it done before. I've had coworkers who didn't have a degree or a certification. Normally, they had a lot of experience, and they were very, very skilled at what they did. So you can do it without a degree or experience. But the biggest advantage is going to be a degree, a certification, both of these with experience, by the way. Both with experience. A degree is going to be with experience is going to be better than a degree within a certification with experience normally. And then just no cert or degree and experience. This, put it to you this way: the less papers you have under your name, the more skilled and buff you got to be. You know what I mean? It's like MMA fighters. Like, there's some people like Brock Lesnar, who's 6'2", 300 pounds of just straight muscle, who they're just going to dominate. I mean, they don't really have to know how to fight that well, right? It helps that they have a black belt in jiu-jitsu or something like that. That's helpful. I mean, that's more than helpful. That's great. That's incredible. But some people don't need the degree or certifications, but most of us do. I'm just being honest. Like, most of us do. I'm myself included. I'm not a genius. I'm not a genius. I've met geniuses before. I'm not one of them. I'm just a normal guy. I'm not, trying to be humble or anything. That's the truth. I'm just some guy. And knowing my faults and my weaknesses, I had to be real. Like, I knew, okay, I'm going to have to prove myself. When I walk in the door, I'm going to have some titles under my name. If they don't respect this face, they're going to respect these certifications and degrees, and my skill set. So I don't know what kind of an answer I gave you about no certifications and no. I'm just trying to give you the landscape of how I see it. Start where you are is what I'm saying. That's what all I'm saying is, wherever you happen to be, whether you're no experience whatsoever, there's a place for you to start. There's a way for you to start. And regardless of whatever ailments or weaknesses you have, if you really want to do this, you can. If you really want to do it, you can. There's nothing stopping you. There's a way for you to do it. Some people just are not willing to pay the price. And I would say, if you have the resources and the time and energy to get a degree, then get a degree. If you don't, try for a certification. If you can't get that, you better be really damn good at whatever the hell you're trying to do, because you're going to have to blow their socks off if you have nothing. You're going to have to come in there you're going to have to come in there to destroy without a certification and a degree. All right. Another thing I would say is about degrees and certifications is some jobs require a degree or certification. But I've gotten jobs that required a CIS. One time I got a job with the contractor with the Air Force, and I had a degree, but I didn't have a certificate. I didn't have a CISSP. And they're like, look, if you come here, you have to have a CISSP. And we noticed you don't have one. They paid me a little less, and they said you got 18 months to get one, or however time it was to get a certain. So they'll do that sometimes. And that was because I had enough experience. And they were like, nah, we need this guy. We have to have this guy. And so they made exceptions in the contract for me just because I had the experience in the background. They were like, nah, we have to have this guy. And then they changed it just so I could come in. And then I got the CISSP and a Security Plus while I was there. All right, let me see. My man Ryan says, hey, Bruce, I know you have a wide audience, but I just heard from DARPA funded 2 ISSO courses, same class, 2 iterations in Colorado Springs area. Looks like it's just $57 for a 3-week course. Space ISO class is 24100A, and then he gave a link. Oh, this is awesome. So if you happen to be in Colorado Springs area, this is a class for $57 that is being put together by a local organization. This is the kind of experience, this is the kind of opportunities that if you get these are the kinds of things that they introduce in the ISSA, by the way. Things like this. This is a class in my local area where you can do this and it will help you. You put this on your profile or on your resume or something, and it's going to help you out to get these jobs. And if you go to your local ISSA chapter, you'll find stuff like this: job fairs that they're not announcing everywhere, internships, apprenticeships, different solutions for technical solutions for organizations. That's the kind of stuff that you'll find in a local ISSA chapter. ISSA is the Information System Security Association. They have one in every major city. And I think they have some in other countries as well, but don't quote me on that. Somebody asked me any thoughts on the PMI RMP. I'm not sure what that is. Let me see here. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Larry, for that $20, man. I appreciate you. Says, I appreciate you, sir. Thanks for this as always. Thank you, Larry. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks you for your support. Larry's been funding this whole organization. So so everybody, shout out to Larry, man. Give Larry some thanks. That's the reason why I make it an extra effort to get this thing done. Now, I've been talking for about an hour, a little over an hour, guys. I'm gonna have to cut out of here. I can do a couple more questions and comments and stuff. I'll do two more because I really have to get going here real soon. Somebody said, can I apply for GRC now while working on getting a Security Plus? Sure. They're really going to be looking for certain experience. It depends on your experience level. Tunes, like if you're an IT guy, if you have been doing IT for a year or something, you have a chance to get in the GRC work. I would have to ask what industry you're in, but there's a way you could do it. But to give you an example, what I mean is, let's say you are a help desk person in a hospital. So you already have a huge advantage in that case. Now you're going to get a Security Plus. You can get a job right now if you are in that industry doing IT work, because you can explain how you've been able to use HIPAA to get that organization, to help get that organization compliant with that HIPAA standard. You would just have to explain how you were able to do that. Now, what you're doing is saying, hey, look, I know this framework in this industry. Here's how I was able to apply it for this company. And here's the impact, the positive impact on this company. That's kind of what you're doing. And you can do that in the financial sector. You can do it in real estate. If you were IT for a mechanic shop, retail, you can do it for manufacturing. You can do it for aerospace. You just want to take, if you're trying to do GRC, if you've done IT for some time, you're going to take your skills, anytime you mess with any kind of security features in that environment, all of those things are doing one thing. They're helping the organization be compliant with a certain framework or standard. You got to know what the standard framework is, and you got to explain that and advertise it in your resume or profile. That's what you're doing. If it's healthcare, it's HIPAA, right? Here's how we applied HIPAA within our whole organization. Here are the security features that helped to be compliant with HIPAA. If it's in financial sector, Sarbanes-Oxley or PCI DSS. Here's how we took our point of sale devices at Target to get to this level of PCI compliance. If it's in the aerospace industry, it's NIST 800. Here's how we took these systems and made them compliant with NIST 853 controls. Here's the security policies that I wrote for it. I assisted in helping these documents be created for compliance with the NIST 800. Like, you're going to put as much as you can about whatever framework or standards in your industry. That's how you're going to try to get in the GRC. Now, if you don't have any experience, you're not a help desk person, you've never done any kind of that. So the first step is to actually get that experience. You got to know the fundamentals of information technology. So we go right back to that, right? So let me see. I'm thinking of starting a Vanderbilt security boot camp. What's your opinion? I don't know if you have to do if you're going to spend money on a boot camp, time, money, and energy on a boot camp, you might as well just get a degree. Is what I'm thinking with boot camps, because that degree is going to give you time to get the experience and stuff. I don't know if you can get a boot camp for free, then that's one thing. But if it's not going to give you that boot camp, put it to you this way: if that boot camp is not going to give you experience when you come out of there, if you can't put something on your resume that says I implemented a firewall at this organization, then I just can't cease dropping $2,000 or $3,000 on a boot camp. And then we're not even going to be 2,000 or 3,000. That would be good. That would be awesome. It's going to be like 5K, 8K, something like that. You might as well just get a degree. If you're spending 8K, 5K on something like that without experience, I just can't justify it to myself, knowing what I know, because organizations are not looking for you to have a boot camp. They're looking for you to have experience. And now you go to a boot camp, you spend that kind of money, and you're going to walk away having written 2 or 3 different. You could put that on your resume. You could say you implemented a firewall at this or that organization. Then that might be worth it. I'm an accountant currently trying to transition in cybersecurity. Okay, so this is a special case, because accounting, just like nursing, is such an embedded field. Like, you really, really know your industry. And there's something called the CISA that you might want to look into, because that's about doing auditing for IT across all industries, not just the financial sector. So what you might want to look into is auditing IT systems in the financial sector, because you'll find that some of the concepts of accounting have a little bit of I was surprised by this too when I found it out. It has a little bit of overlap with IT auditing. It's some of the same. You'll find it in Sarbanes-Oxley. If you look in to a framework called Sarbanes-Oxley, you'll see a lot of crossover between those things. What you might want to do is get some IT fundamentals down, know the best security practices, get a security plus if you're serious, and apply for the IRS. IRS has a bunch of jobs at all times for IT, and they're looking for people with a background like you have. So another one you might want to get into is fraud detection. That might help you. A fraud detection type job. That might help. So there's a couple of different ways you can go. You want it, whatever the case, there's a couple places you want to start. IT fundamentals, of course. I just like, how's IT work? What's going on with it? If you don't know nothing, start with A+. Learn from the A+ certification, and then learn as much as you can about the domains. And another area you want to focus on is how financial sectors are secured. Start looking Sarbanes-Oxley, and there's a couple of other ones off the top of my head. I'm trying to think, maybe PCI DSS. But there's an auditing feature of IT that's very close to like the auditing you would do with the financial sector. I got my first IT job from working in telecom. I'm trying to tell you. Now I'm looking to get into GRC. Yep, telecoms, man, they're everywhere. All right, I think guys, I'm sorry, I gotta cut this one short. I've got some stuff to do. But thank you so much. Thank you, Larry, man. Thank you so much for all your support. Thanks, everybody. Hit that like button, like Larry's saying. Appreciate you guys. I got more stuff coming. Like I said, convocourses.net. I got tons of books in different platforms. I'm going to be making some of this into videos. I've already done it for this book. Is a very comprehensive course on this set of books. So This is all about getting content out there that's helpful to you if you're trying to get into this field. It's what has paid me for the last 2 decades. It's been very rewarding. It's just been very stable. So that's why I'm doing this every week, because I'm telling you, there's so I got 99 problems, but a job's not one of them. I got a lot of problems, but one thing that solves a lot of those problems is not going to make you happy, but it definitely solves a lot of problems, is money. It solves a lot of problems. Yeah. So that's why I try to help people as much as I can. It's not really about GRC. It's about stability. It's not really about money. It's about stability. And, having more resources is one way to get that stability in your life, for your kids, for everything, for every situation you have. If you're willing to put in the work, it's rewarding in the long term, and it's rewarding across all climates, across any kind of weather pattern that comes in your life, because I know all of us have it. You've got a winter, a summer, a spring, and a fall in your life. You got good times, you got bad times, but this level of stability helps you to get through it, because there's certain things, if money is one thing you don't have to worry about, it's pretty rewarding. It's pretty rewarding. It's not solving all your problems, but it definitely makes them more manageable. I'll say that. So, all right, guys, that's it. I gotta go. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody. I'm out of here. I'll catch me next week around the same time, and I do this every week, so I'll be seeing you guys really, really soon. Go